Dímelo mi gente, what up? It's your boy Gus from GusVillaJewelry.com. In today's video, we are gonna be doing the ultimate showdown, and we're gonna answer some painstakingly repeated questions that I get asked quite literally all the time. Which one is better? Machine-made Miami Cuban link chains or handmade Miami Cuban link chains? I'm gonna give you a non-biased pros and cons about both of them. We're gonna go through the 5 biggest selling points of both chains, and we're gonna see which one is better for you. Gus Villa Jewelry. So I know what you guys are thinking. Because I hand make Miami Cuban link chains, and that is ultimately what I'm known for, I'm gonna give you guys a real convincing video as to why you should buy handmade over machine made. But the reality is I'm not, because guess what? I will be selling machine made chains as well. And we're gonna talk about both sides of the coins. In my hands, I am now picking up 2 sets of chains. These are all machine made, and these are all handmade Cuban links, and we're gonna go through all of them. So let's start off with the biggest elephant in the room, and that of course is the appearance. It's the biggest distinguishing factor when it comes to the both style chains. I know that people call them Miami Cuban link chains when they're made in Italy, but there really isn't anything Miami Cuban link chain about an Italian made chain, because at the end of the day, they're machine made. And what are those differences as far as to the naked eye? The biggest one, of course, is always going to be the spacing. Machines, no matter how well you calibrate them, there's always gonna be a bit more gaps than when we hand make them. The machines are calibrated to have 2 interacting points. One of them that curls the wire and the other one that solders the other curl in a completely different direction. That chain is then turned and then passed through another machine that solders the links together, and that's how you create the pattern to mimic what a Cuban link looks like. They just can't get as tight as a regular Miami Cuban link. In front of me is a more in-depth look so that you can see the spacing that I'm talking about. When you're looking at a handmade one, we try to tighten those links as much as we possibly can. It is really only noticeable when you are getting a bird's eye view, so a vertical size view. If you start looking at chains when they're laying on your chest, you'll see that the links appear to be tighter. You can only really see the gaps when you're looking at it from the tops. The second biggest thing is the file. And I think this is not only the most obvious one, but it's the one where people kind of pinpoint and say, that's the reason why I like the handmade ones. Because the file can never be duplicated as the one that comes in the original handmade one. When the links are finished, they are perfectly in unison when they're machine made. But when you hand file them, there's a bit of an imperfection. In addition to that, as you are stroking the file pause through the actual chain itself, you give it more of an oval shape, and that people love. But on the machine-made ones, they all kind of mimic what the file is supposed to look like, but in reality is there's no one actually filing them. In addition to that, the file is very similar, if not exactly the same, in any machine-made Cuban. Whether you buy them from Italy, or you buy the ones that we have down here in Miami, or you buy the Chinese ones, they mimic the file by essentially cutting the link on the top and almost flattening it. The handmade one has a bit of a deeper groove because you're stroking the file back and forth and back and forth. And in addition to that, there's different styles. There are some shops out there that have something very, very flat. For instance, Daniel Jewelry Inc., which we have a review. There are also ones that are a little bit more bubblier. Those come from the old school style type of filing. And there's a little bit more modern, the way I like it, which is a combination of the two. Has a bit of a flat, but also really oval and kind of a den looking shape. Now let's move over to the locks. Typically speaking, most Miami Cuban link chains that are made by machine are gonna be made in Italy. They make some incredible machines. They're all consistent, they're all beautiful. However, for the curb chain, which we call Miami Cuban chain, they like to put a lobster clasp. It rarely comes with a box lock. Now, the ones that we make here, we do make them with box locks, but typically they're not going to come that way. And a lot of people don't like that lobster clasp. It's a bit of an old school style that isn't used here. And when you do a handmade one, they're gonna come with box locks. It's more traditional. They're gonna have the clicks on the side, which are called the figure 8s. It has a little bit more synergy, and it isn't a lock that is used on any other chain. Unlike the lobster clasp that is not only used on these style chains, but on many other ones, including the Figaro, Francos. And we also have different styles, like for instance, a sleek lock or a handmade lock as opposed to a casted one. We of course hand make all of our lock boxes in our gold orders. Now here's the biggest elephant in the room, the cost. Because machine-made Cubans are so much cheaper than handmade ones, a lot of people prefer the machine-made ones. Hand making a smaller link is a very difficult, time-consuming, labor-intensive task because there are so many links to make a big chain. We as jewelers won't make links that are under 8mm. At GVJ, we do them all the way down to 5mm because we hate ourselves. But the truth is, it is a very difficult link to pull off. Now, what are the benefits of having something that's machine made? You're gonna get the same width at a much cheaper price because these companies that are making them are pumping out so many of them. Say for instance, it's a 5mm 24, 50 grams, you're only gonna pay about 10 or 15% over the spot price of gold. However, if you want something to be handmade, it's gonna come with a heavy premium because of how many hours it takes for a jeweler to pull that off. The reason why machine-made chains were made is so that the jeweler wouldn't have to spend that type of hours making something and still turn a profit. That's why you don't hear people hand making 2mm, 3mm. I mean, even me just saying that makes me want to jump off a bridge. So Italian-made machine-mades are going to be cheaper. If you want something that's handmade, it's going to come at a premium. You be the judge on whether you decide which one is better or not. If you want my personal opinion, I'm of the type of person who likes to pay for a premium experience. However, it depends on what it is. Now let's talk about how long people have to wait for a machine-made one or handmade one. Now, this isn't always the case. For the most part, knock on wood, I am very blessed that we have so many orders right now that we have people waiting up to 3 weeks for a piece. If you are ordering a machine-made chain, most jewelers are gonna purchase these in bulk. So most of the time, they're gonna be ready in stock. By the time you order it, and let's say you don't wanna wait, you place the order online, 3 days later, that chain is in your hand. Most of the time, Miami Cuban link chains that are handmade are gonna be made to order. And so therefore, there is a waiting grace period. Now, if that doesn't matter to you, wait for it. If you really like that handmade look, it's gonna be worth it. If you just want that Cuban around your neck, there is no one knocking when someone is impatient. I sympathize with you. If you got it in stock and you order it, do it. I want that shit overnight, my boy. Here's a final one, and here's a bonus tip for all you guys out there. Unfortunately, handmade Miami Cuban link chains are made by many people down here in Miami. And the reality is, they are not all the most honest. The beauty about Italian or machine-made Cuban link chains is that they are going to be more consistently truthful with the purity that you are purchasing. In other words, if you purchase a chain that says 10 karat or 14 karat that comes from Italy, they are so consistent with being 14 karat or 10 karat or 18 karat that they advertise. It is so on the button that I can close my eyes, and if I were a betting man, I'd bet the house on it matching the purity that was advertised. Unfortunately, on the other hand, the handmade ones, there are a lot of games that people play in making chains that are under carat, plating them to come out over carat. Maybe they play the lead game. Let me give you guys a hint on what the lead game is. You put lead in your chain to make it look heavier and plate it on the outside. There's 1,000 things that I've seen. And that's why it's so important to purchase your Miami Cuban link from a reputable dealer down here, because so many people play games. If you don't even want to deal with that, go the machine-made route. The biggest suggestion that I can possibly tell you, if you are purchasing a Miami Cuban link and you want something that's either 14K plum or higher, 10K plum or higher, do some research on the jeweler that you are purchasing them. Ask other people that have purchased from them before if what they bought was actually what they got. Finally, here are some shots of some models wearing both Italian machine-made chains and Miami Cuban link chains, and you tell me which one looks better. course, we do sell both here at GVJ, but we specialize in handmade Miami Cuban link chains. They're gonna be available on our website. If you guys have any questions outside of everything that you've seen in this video and you wanna ask us personally, go on our website, send us an email, or give us a call. If you're in the market for any sort of Cuban link chain, we are your #1 source for that. We'd love to earn your business. I hope that you found some sort of value from everything that was shown here, and maybe it made your decision just a little bit easier. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Holla.